Hello, welcome to my TV. Today I'll be doing a reaction to one of my fellow YouTube friends, Titan, in his video called Stepdad Got Me Pregnant. Mm. So let's get into it. This video is a little lengthy. Just bear with me, please, because if you watch, with this much time, I've seen the preview of it, but I want to do this whole thing, all together. But anyway, enough of my babbling. Let's get into this video. Okay, intro. That's like real playful and calming. I like that. I like his intro. And all these like close-ups. I like it. Okay. Dude, in the art school.
Now this story comes from a girl named Jasmine. Her real name isn't Jasmine, but she asked me to call her Jasmine for like privacy reasons. So that's what we're gonna do. Now this story takes place when Jasmine was in college. She was about 22 at the time. But she gave me a very important backstory, which I'm about to share with you before we get into the actual story, because the backstory is really important.
I'm ready.
When Jasmine was in high school, she had a best friend, and her best friend had a boyfriend. Now, her best friend is kind of irrelevant, but the boyfriend isn't. So we're going to give him a name. Let's just name him Harry. So like I said, Jasmine had a best friend, and her best friend had a boyfriend named Harry.
Okay.
Now, supposedly, Jasmine had a crush on Harry for an extremely long time,
Normal.
and her best friend knew about it, but her best friend didn't care. So without even talking to Jasmine about it first, her best friend goes behind her back and starts to date Harry. And her best friend and Harry dated for about 2 years. Now, if you thought that was messy, this is a lot messier. Within those 2 years of dating, Jasmine was going behind her best friend's back and she was sleeping with Harry. Yes, you heard me correctly. Harry was cheating on his girlfriend with Jasmine. And Jasmine did not feel bad about it at all, not one bit. In fact, she was the one that initiated it. She was the one that asked him to do it. And since Harry is a guy with no self-control and no self-confidence, of course he went and did it. So her best friend and Harry's relationship for that whole 2 years meant nothing because the entire time he was sleeping with Jasmine. And if that wasn't enough, Jasmine told her best friend that she was sleeping with her boyfriend at her birthday party. She had this entire thing planned from the beginning. She was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sleep with your man, and then on your birthday party, I'm going to let you know that I'm sleeping with your man. So of course that does not go over well, and her best friend and Harry break up. And then after they break up, Harry and Jasmine dated for an entire year. And the only reason why Jasmine and Harry broke up is because they went to 2 different colleges and neither of them wanted to do a long-distance relationship, so they thought it was best to just break up. Now that you know that messy background, I can get into the actual story, which is even messier. Jasmine was spilling all sorts of tea in her email that she sent me, and I was here for it, okay? I love drama, but I don't like to be in it. I like to watch from afar, I like looking at other people's drama, but I don't like to be in my own. Now, Jasmine ends up going to college for 4 years. And one thing to note is that Jasmine and her mother had the worst relationship ever. They were always arguing and fighting, so when Jasmine went off to college, she stopped talking to her mom completely. So while she was in college, she had no idea what her mother was up to, what her mother was doing. She had no idea, right? The only thing that she knew is that her mother had recently met a man and gotten married. And since Jasmine and her mom weren't close, she wasn't able to look up pictures of her new stepfather or anything like that because her mom had blocked her on all social medias. So basically, Jasmine had no idea who this man was or what he even looked like. So fast forward to Jasmine graduating college and moving back home to her mom's house. When Jasmine got home, she was greeted with a very unpleasant surprise. And the surprise was her mother was now married to Harry, aka her ex-boyfriend, aka her ex-boyfriend that she stole from her ex-best friend, aka Harry, who is now married to her mother. I don't know what kind of messed up family tree y'all got going on, Jasmine, but over here we don't do stuff like that, okay? I don't know how y'all do it in your family, but I guess I do because you told me. We don't do that stuff over here. So when Jasmine finds out that Harry is the man that her mother had just married, she goes off. Her and her mother get into this huge
I
argument. They
believe
start
that.
throwing
I
things at each
believe
other. They
that.
get
Who
into a physical
wouldn't?
fight.
You
Harry
married
basically had to break them
your
up.
daughter's
Her
boyfriend?
mom then kicks her
And
out
you
the
married
house
her?
that she never moved back into anyway. And
Where
with
you at
nowhere
at?
to go, Jasmine starts living in her car. I feel bad for
Obviously.
Jasmine, but at the same time, this is kind of like her karma for what she did to her ex-best friend by stealing her boyfriend.
True.
Even though her ex-best friend went behind her back to take Harry away from her. So after she gets kicked out, she starts living in her car. A couple of days go by, and then Jasmine is woken up in the morning from a tap on her window. When she opens her eyes, she sees that it's Harry. And of course she's not happy, but she rolls down her window to figure out what he wants. And he ends up telling her that he still loves her, he still wants to be with her, he doesn't really love her mother. So Jasmine is sitting there and she's listening to him, she's hearing him out, whatever. And then she gets this idea to, guess what? Steal her mother's husband. She was gonna do the same thing she did to her ex-best friend to her own
Are you
mother.
serious?
If this isn't the messiest story I've ever heard in my life, I don't know
that's
what
messy
it
a la
is.
mode right
So
there.
she
That's
kind of
messy
just
a la
plays along
mode.
with him, even though she
Okay,
has no
that ain't
feelings
messy.
towards him anymore. In fact, she pretty much hates him for marrying her mother. So Harry takes Jasmine back to her mother's house. Jasmine pretends to apologize to her mother, and her mother buys it. You know, they kiss and make
Obviously.
up, and everyone kind of just decides to sweep all this drama under the rug and forget about it. Jasmine even went as far to tell her mother that she's happy for her and Harry, and that she wishes them nothing but the best, and she doesn't want to cause them any more trouble. And just like that, her mother lets her
Lies.
move back into the house. Literally one day after moving back into her mother's house, Jasmine puts her plan into work. Harry worked in the mornings, so he was never home in the morning, but her mother worked nights, so she was never home at nighttime. So basically during the nights, it was just Jasmine and Harry home alone, all night. So Jasmine took that time to seduce her new stepdaddy. She would cook him dinner, she would wear nice clothes for him, sexy clothes for him. She would give him massages if he had a hard day at work. And at first they weren't really doing anything inappropriate except the massages. But after that, things intensified. Literally like a week later, Jasmine and Harry started to get it in, if you know what I'm
Give me
saying.
facts. Come on,
They started,
say
you
it.
know.
Say it. Facts. Man, it's not that hard.
I'm too shy to say, but you know, they started, doing, CEO of saying, they started doing things to bring babies into this world.
Facts.
And every night, as soon as her mother would leave, they would just be getting it on. And the messed up part about this was that Jasmine didn't even care about Harry. She still didn't have any feelings for him. Her one true intention was to get back at Harry and get back at her mother for marrying each other. I told y'all this story was juicy. Like, it is so juicy.
That is overflowing.
Like, this
tea
story is
into
filled with so
lemonade,
much tea,
into-
I cannot. So they start doing this every single night for like months. But this is what really got me. Harry was still sleeping with her mother. Yes, Harry was still sleeping with Jasmine's mother.
What kind of
we're
family is
married, so
this?
But how could you sleep with someone who's also sleeping with somebody
What
in your
family is
family?
this?
Like, especially like your mom? Jasmine got
kind of family
issues.
is
I'm sorry,
this?
Jasmine. I know you're watching this, but you got issues. You need some
Oh, you got
serious
issues.
help. You
This
need
right here is
therapy
some messed up.
or something.
Some messed
I'm not
up
a doctor.
mental
I can't tell
mind
you what you
control
need, but you need some
messed
help.
up.
You need Jesus or something. And to make
What?
things worse, at first they were using protection, like Jasmine and Harry were using protection, but eventually they stopped using protection, and then Jasmine's body started to go through some changes. Nothing too serious, she just missed her period, and she was feeling nauseous and things like that. Now, I don't know what it's like to be pregnant, but I'm pretty sure missing your period and nausea is like the first signs of being pregnant. So after Jasmine notices her body going through these weird changes, she starts to panic. So that night, after Jasmine's mother went to work, she decides that she's going to tell Harry. So she sits him down and she tells him that she thinks she's pregnant. And Harry really doesn't have a reaction. He's not happy, he's not mad, he's not sad, he ain't glad, but he's really stern with her. And basically he was like, if you are pregnant, we can't keep this baby, we have to get rid of it. But Jasmine was like, if I'm pregnant, I'm keeping the baby. Messy.
A la mode. Messy, a la
And
mode.
I was like, tea. This is some good tea. What happened next, girl? So Harry takes Jasmine to go pick up a couple pregnancy tests, and when she took them, they all came back
How much she
positive.
take?
Every single one. She said she took about 10 of them, and they were all
Kid,
positive.
are you
So
serious?
yeah, Harry got her pregnant. aka her stepdad, got her pregnant. Like, I can't even imagine being in that situation. Like, what do you even do at that point? Like, for either of them, like, how do you even get yourself in that situation?
She's crazy.
Jasmine
That's what.
is one evil little bee.
Don't forget Jasmine.
So
She's
after they find out that she is pregnant,
out.
Harry tries to convince her to get rid of the baby, but Jasmine is not here for it. She decides that she's keeping it regardless. So they go back and forth for a little while about what to do. None of them are really switching. But then Jasmine says, if you truly love me like the way you say you do, you would want to keep this baby too. And I guess that triggered something in Harry's brain because he changed his mind.
Oh, really?
And he was like, you know what? You're right. Let's keep this thing, but what are we going to do about your mother? So they waited all night for her mother to come back home from work. And at this point, it's really late at night, or it's extremely early in the morning, but it's around 3 a.m. When her mother finally comes back home. So Harry and Jasmine meet her at the door, and they're like, hey, we need to tell you something. It's extremely important. They all sit at the dining room table, Jasmine and Harry sitting next to each other, and then her mother sitting across from them. And her mom was just really confused, and she was just like, what's going on? What do you guys need to tell me? Like, what's going on? And Jasmine doesn't say anything. She lets Harry do all the talking. So Harry drops the bomb, and he's just like, hey, listen. I got Jasmine pregnant. It wasn't intentional. It was an accident. So, of course, her mother starts freaking out again. All of them get into this huge argument. Harry and Jasmine get kicked out of the house. They grab all the belongings that they can fit into the car, and Harry gets them a hotel room until they figure out where they're gonna go. Now, as if this was not bad enough, it gets worse. They get to the hotel room, they settle in, and then they decide they're just gonna go to sleep and figure it out in the morning because it's way too late to be thinking about where we're gonna go and things like that. So they figured they would just figure it out in the morning. I don't know how many times I just said figured in that sentence, but I know it was a hell of a lot. Jasmine never goes to sleep. She waits for Harry to go to sleep, takes the keys to the car, leaves Harry in the room by himself, and drives off to God knows where. And she left him with no way to contact her because she blocked him on all social medias, and she blocked his number so he could not reach out to her. And then the next day she ends up in this random town where she, get this, gets rid of the baby. The baby that she said that she was going to keep regardless, she got rid of it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the email ends. And all she said at the end of her email was this: hey, I know what I did wasn't right, but at least I got revenge on my mom and Harry. I have no idea what happened next. I really wish she would have continued on. I emailed her back to ask her for more details, but she did not respond to my messages. I was sitting there reading the email like, what the heck is this girl's problem? I was just so confused. Like, first of all, you took him from your ex-best friend, then your mom basically marries him, and then you go and take him from your mother, only to end up pregnant, lie, and say that you want to keep the baby just to get rid of it? Child, this story is all over the place. This is the messiest story I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's not the housewife of Atlanta. Every Bravo show in American messy. That's
crazy.
That's Bravo TV
Anyone who could do something like that definitely
all the
has
shows
some
combined
problems
from
going on
Housewives to
themselves.
Shot the Sunset
Hopefully she gets help
to
for it,
to Render
mental
Pump
health
Rules.
is important.
All
But
those
with all
shows
that being
combined
said, y'all,
messy.
that was the entire story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the tea that I just spilled on my channel because it was pretty dang hot today. I personally am really enjoying all of the emails that you guys are sending me with your crazy behind story times. Oh my gosh, keep them coming, But if you want your story time featured in a YouTube video, all you have to do is email me at ty.storytime@gmail.com. I'll put it right here on the screen so you can see it, and I'll also put it in the description box down below so you can just copy and paste it. I know a lot of you guys said that you can't email me for whatever reason, so you can send me your story times over social media. Just make sure you say this is for YouTube at the top so I know. But before I forget, if you want a shout out in my next story time video on Tuesday, all you have to do is leave your best story time in the comment section down below. The top 5 stories will get shout outs in my Tuesday's story time video, so keep an eye out for that. And it is currently 3:53 a.m. But yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep. Oh, also, I forgot one last thing. I promised one last thing before I go. I I just wanted to ask you guys, are you enjoying the new content that I'm putting on TikTok? I did a couple of POVs and they're doing pretty well. I was just curious if you guys were into it. My story times on TikTok will be limited. I'm only going to post them about twice a week whenever I put like a story time on YouTube. Unless I have like a short story that doesn't fit into a YouTube video, I'll probably throw it up on my TikTok account. But I'm really trying to change my TikTok account into more like hair dye stuff that I do and, you know, POVs, because I think that is more what I want to do on TikTok anyway, and then keep my YouTube channel story times because that's what I like to do on YouTube. Okay, now my mouth is completely dry, just like my hair. I will talk to you guys later. Bye, love ya. See ya, Thai fam. All that jazz. Pow, 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 pow. Ra-da-da-da. Didn't even notice.
You can sing.
Didn't even notice. Your punch is hard to roll. You need to keep me focused.
You can sing,
Why
boy.
don't you say so?
Oh,
Alright, bye guys.
okay.
I love you guys so much. Bye.
See you, Ty. Oh.